Maria stood at the center of the massive stage, her tiny frame almost swallowed by the bright lights that surrounded her. The judges watched with curiosity, unsure of what to expect from the barefoot 6-year-old who had quietly introduced herself as being from Manila. Her voice trembled at first, but as the music began, she closed her eyes and held the microphone tightly with both hands, as if it were her only anchor. The first note floated across the silent hall, soft yet powerful, carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken stories. The audience leaned forward, captivated instantly, and the murmurs that had filled the room disappeared into complete silence. With each lyric, Maria's voice grew stronger, filled with both innocence and raw emotion, as though she was singing not just for herself, but for her late mother and the streets that had shaped her childhood. The camera cut to Simon, his face unusually softened, eyes reflecting surprise and admiration. Sophia pressed a hand to her heart, whispering to Heidi, who nodded with tears glistening. Howie slowly rose from his seat, clapping quietly before the song had even ended. The performance felt like time had stopped, the little girl's voice echoed against every corner of the auditorium, reaching straight into the hearts of those listening. As she sang the final note, holding it longer than anyone thought possible, the audience erupted in applause, many standing with tears running down their faces. Maria opened her eyes, blinking against the lights and the overwhelming sound of cheers, looking stunned as if she could not believe the world was clapping for her. For a moment, the harsh memories of sleeping on cold pavements in Manila seemed far away, replaced by a golden dream she never imagined could be real. Maria walked onto the stage slowly, her small hands nervously gripping the microphone as she looked around at the vast hall filled with strangers. The golden lights felt blinding, and for a moment she froze, her tiny feet planted firmly on the shiny floor. The judges exchanged curious glances, surprised at how young and fragile she seemed. Simon leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm, asking her name and where she came from. In a soft tone, Maria answered, "My name is Maria. I am from Manila, Philippines." The audience reacted with a wave of admiration, some already whispering in awe of her courage. Sophia gave her a warm smile and said, "You're so brave for standing here today." Maria swallowed hard, her voice barely steady as she explained that she used to sing on the streets to earn a few coins. The hall grew quiet, the weight of her words settling on everyone present. Heidi leaned in, her eyes full of sympathy, and asked what song she had chosen. Maria took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and whispered the title. As the music began, her nerves seemed to melt away. The first notes she released were shaky, but with each line her voice grew stronger, more confident, as though the song itself was carrying her. Her small figure may have looked fragile under the lights, but her voice filled every corner of the auditorium. The crowd listened in awe, silent and still, drawn deeper into her story with every note. Judges who had seen countless auditions before could not hide their emotions, their faces reflecting surprise, tenderness, and respect for the little girl who carried so much pain yet delivered it through pure, beautiful music. At that moment, Maria wasn't just a homeless child from Manila, she was a star. The spotlight dimmed to a single beam that bathed Maria in soft golden light, her small figure standing bravely against the grandness of the stage. The first gentle chords of the song began to play, and for a heartbeat the entire hall held its breath. Maria closed her eyes, clutching the microphone with both hands, and let her voice rise. It was delicate at first, like a whisper carried by the wind, but within moments it bloomed into something powerful, raw, and filled with emotion beyond her years. Every note carried fragments of her story, nights of hunger on the streets of Manila, the ache of losing her mother, the quiet hope she still kept burning inside her heart. The judges sat frozen, almost forgetting the cameras, their eyes locked on the little girl who seemed to transform before them. Simon's expression softened into something rarely seen, genuine awe, while Sophia placed a trembling hand over her chest. Heidi leaned forward, wide-eyed, her lips parting as if the music itself had stunned her. Howie, always the first to break the silence, rose slowly from his chair, his hands beginning to clap even before the song was finished. In the audience, people wiped away tears, their faces illuminated by the shimmering stage lights. Maria's voice soared higher, echoing off the walls like a plea and a prayer all at once, leaving no heart untouched. When she reached the final note, holding it with a strength no one expected from a child, the entire hall erupted in applause and cheers, the sound thunderous yet filled with warmth. Maria opened her eyes slowly, blinking at the overwhelming sight of thousands rising to their feet for her. She looked both stunned and shy, her little chest rising quickly with each breath, as if realizing she had just turned her pain into something unforgettable. The final note of Maria's song lingered in the air like a prayer, leaving the auditorium wrapped in silence for a heartbeat before the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. The sound was deafening, yet all eyes turned toward the judges, waiting for their reactions. Simon leaned forward, his elbows on the table, his face softer than anyone had ever seen. That, he whispered into his microphone, was extraordinary. His voice cracked slightly, betraying the emotion he tried to hide. Sophia pressed both hands to her chest, shaking her head in disbelief. "You're only 6 years old, and you made us all feel something so powerful," she said, her voice trembling. Heidi blinked back tears, unable to find words at first, then finally leaned into her mic and murmured, "You have a gift, Maria. A rare, beautiful gift." Howie stood up, clapping above his head, his grin wide yet his eyes shining with emotion. The camera cut across the audience, men and women wiping their faces, children cheering, strangers hugging each other as if they had all just witnessed a miracle. Maria looked from judge to judge, clutching the microphone against her chest, her wide brown eyes filled with confusion and hope. She could hardly believe that the very people she had only ever seen on TV were praising her, celebrating her, and looking at her as if she truly belonged on that massive stage. Simon's lips curved into a rare smile, and he nodded slightly as though making an important decision. The chants from the audience grew louder, rhythmic and insistent. "Golden buzzer! Golden buzzer!" Maria's tiny shoulders rose and fell as she took in the sound, her heart racing faster with every chant. She did not know what would happen next, but something inside her told her this was a moment that could change her life forever. The chants grew louder, echoing through the hall as confetti cannons waited silently above. Simon glanced at the other judges, then back at Maria, his expression a mixture of pride and certainty. Slowly, he reached out his hand and pressed the golden buzzer. Instantly, a burst of golden confetti rained down from the ceiling, swirling around the little girl like a shower of dreams. The audience exploded into cheers, clapping, screaming, and standing on their feet as the magical moment unfolded. Maria froze, her small hands flying up to cover her face, overwhelmed by the sight of glittering gold falling all around her. Her tiny body shook with sobs, but her tears were not of sadness, they were of joy, relief, and disbelief that this was truly happening to her. Heidi stood from her chair, rushing forward to embrace her as Sophia followed, wrapping the girl in warmth and love. Howie clapped loudly, pointing to the crowd and shouting, "This is what the world needs to see." Simon, usually the hardest to move, rose from his seat and walked toward Maria, gently patting her shoulder. "You're not just a singer," he told her softly, his voice almost lost in the noise, "you're a star." The audience roared even louder, as if agreeing with every word. Maria lifted her tear-streaked face toward the sky of falling confetti and whispered, barely audible, "This is for my mama in heaven." The crowd's energy shifted into a wave of emotion, and for a moment it felt as if the entire auditorium was united in love, hope, and admiration for the little girl from Manila. Under the golden rain, Maria stood in the center of the stage, no longer a child from the streets, but a shining symbol of resilience and dreams come true.